All right, I'm back. Let me just shout this out quickly to my Discord. All right, so progress. I live streamed this morning and I got really stumped trying to bake stuff. So I kind of made my own add-on to do this, and some of it was useful. Some of it turned out to be a little bit janky, but I don't know if I'm going to show it right now because I already went through the process. But basically, it lets you take something like this, which is a bunch of materials on different materials on different UVs, and as long as you map them to the same UV set, it just allows you to retarget it. So I'm probably going to publish this on itch or something for free, and I'll show it off in another video, just how it works. But basically, you take a whole bunch of objects, you select what maps you want, and then it bakes them all down to the same texture set. And that's what I did manually this morning. So if you go look at my live stream from this morning, you will see that the process of this add-on is exactly what I did this morning. So that's there, will be there if you want it. Let's do another dev stream. Another dev stream. All right, so basically I'm at the point now where I'm ready to start bringing stuff in. I am gonna steal some rendering code that I wrote before for this rendering server test, right? So this one was pretty good. I need to do a test, and I'm actually not sure about the answer to this. So in Godot, if you have a mesh that uses alpha scissoring, does the distance fade, right, the visibility range, does this actually does it work correctly? If it puts it through the alphabet blending pipeline, that's not good. So, okay, in any case, I'm gonna take my 3 meshes. I just wanna make sure they're named good. And we're going to export this. So I'm just going to export it pretty normally here. No special settings. Okay, so rendering server threaded. Let's make an assets folder. If I could spell, and we'll make one for tree. This is going to be very similar to the rendering server video. So if you saw that, then what I'm doing now is just the same. We'll do visible. I will take the materials and I will apply mods. Okay, let's try that. So hopefully I can get this going pretty quick because I'm going to use tooling that I've used before. Yeah, so LOD 0 and LOD 1 have all 3 maps. Diffuse, normal, roughness. LOD 2, I just did color because I think we can tune LOD 2. The shading looks wacky on it right now, right? But from a try count perspective, this one's 340, this one's 2700, this one's 8500. So we'll see how well this works out. I want to do a design that's kind of like this. So I'm probably going to keep coming back to this, where whatever the tile the player is centered on, it does something like this. This has problems too. Let's just open this up for a second. I'm just remembering from Bushcraft, like it probably should be something like if the player character is here, then probably paint is freaking out totally. Then probably these 3 tiles should be LOD 0, right? So we probably should snap to whatever the forest near tiles are. I suppose that creates a bit of a situation then where we don't know what's on these boundaries. Let's just put a question mark there for now. I know I solved this on Bushcraft, but we'll see how this functions. You shouldn't go from LOD 0 to LOD 2. It should go 1 here. So the question is, how do we achieve that? Going from 0 to 1. Right? So, we'll figure it out. We need some sort of chunking system to do it. I don't know why my eraser is doing this. Paint is losing its mind. Right? So wherever the zeros are should be surrounded by ones, and then we should eventually have twos out here somewhere. Okay. I will work up to that though. All right, so let's do new scene. Maybe I'll be a little bit organized this time. Scenes. Let's call this test level. No, let's give this a tree test. Yeah. F2's not working. There will be. Godot uses custom calling by default, so it should be fine. Should not be an issue. I'm just going to yoink this this code. So we're going to steal these two, I think. And we'll throw a script on here. We'll make it a tool script. And let's just call this generate. And let's get our meshes pulled out. So here's our meshes. So we're going to generate LOD0, LOD1, LOD2. I guess I need some of those distance settings, margin, distance 1, distance 2. I'm basically just hijacking this whole thing. We'll call this generate because it's no longer buildings, but it's the same generic code. Okay, so we'll generate this, and what I'll do is X and Z. What are these parameters? Yeah, we'll do something very similar. So we'll do X and Z. We'll create the instances. We'll push back the mesh. And before we even get to that stage, actually, what I want to do first is I want to test. Oh, these things are huge. How big are these things? I never checked the scale on them. 65 meters. This is an enormous tree. This is an absolutely enormous tree. And we got 18 draw calls. I think there's a lot of gizmos and stuff. There we go. Just the 3. So shadows. 1 plus shadows. Yeah. I feel like this is a tad on the large side, but what we'll do is we will scale it, I think. We'll just adjust scaling. So that's fine. I mean, how tall is 65 meters? $65 convert to feet. 200 feet. Yeah, we're gonna scale these down just a touch. Okay, apply rotation scale, export, bada bing, bada boom. Okay. What I want to see actually is there's a few things Blender does by default. No idea. Okay, did put on alpha scissor. Very nice. Oh, I don't know how it got this. Did it actually look at my shader? Whoa, that's crazy. GLTF, man. That is really smart. So it got alpha scissor. Let's turn. Oh, okay. I forgot something about foliage. We can't disable backface culling, which is fine because our mesh is mostly foliage, so that's okay. That's fine. It already is alpha scissor. Now the question is, if we use visibility fade, this is the big question. We don't know this. I forget how this works. Begin 20 meters, begin margin 5. Ah, does it fail with the scissor pipeline? Let's do fade. Oh, no way. Okay. So we're learning stuff. We're learning stuff here. The visibility range fade does not work. Okay, that means this is going to get a lot more complicated. This is going to get a lot more complicated. Okay. So yeah, if we turn off scissor, it blows up the alpha. Oh wow, the normals must be messed up on this model or something. It's rendering all the quads in front of the solid geometry. How about alpha hash? Alpha hash works on fading. So maybe. Hash looks like crap though for foliage. Yes, I am back. Derp E1. We're experimenting with the alpha modes. Alpha scissor is the correct one to use for trees, right? So what alpha scissor does is basically it's a hard cutoff for your textures, which is perfect. But the fading is getting real messed up. So we turn all that off, then it works perfectly. So what we gotta do, this is where it gets spicy. And this is why we will need this lotting approach, because once we go to a frame-based approach, basically every single frame inside process, we need to change the uniforms of each shader, question mark. So here's one way to do that. I'll show you that quickly. So this is LOD 0. If we can take this material and convert to a shader material. We'll save it. Let's call this, let's go materials. And we'll call this tree 3 LOD 0. Okay. So now it's a shader material, and we have all this stuff. A lot of this stuff we don't care about really, but oh darn, there was something I meant to include before I did that. So let's can we reset this? Clear. Yeah, we can reset it. So the deal is, you can turn on distance fade, and we will do pixel dither, okay? Min distance, max distance, let's set to Yeah, so this is pixel dithering. It should work with alpha scissor. But it's not for some reason. Pixel alpha. Now pixel alpha is expensive. We want to do pixel dithering. Yeah, it's not working. Interesting. So we want pixel dither. We set it to, you know, a reasonable value. It's not fading out. Interesting. Max distance. Let's hover over. Distance at which the object appears fully opaque. Okay, sweet. Yeah. So I think we just need to reverse these. We'll go 8, we'll go 20, and 10. Yeah, there we go. See that? So let's up this to 40. So people were asking about this. This is a very good question. This effectively sets your margin, right? So if you have 50 and 30, we start fading out here, we fade in, and everything is still in alpha scissor. Okay. So it's just going to be more annoying to deal with. And we'll fade one in, we'll fade the other out. Everything will be under alpha scissor. Should all be good for foliage. Let's bring in our other LODs and see what they look like. So if I have LOD 1, LOD 2, and let's just clear the transforms. Yeah. Clear. Because it is going to be an important thing to try to get the lotting right. Let's disable that for now. The LOD actually looks good. I think LOD 2 looks quite good. We've got some texture nonsense happening. I didn't notice that before. We'll have to fix that. I bet you it was the margin that I baked it with. So this one is problematic. Let me fix up this UV map, because this UV map. Yeah, I knew there wasn't enough margin in here when I put this in, and I just like push forward anyways, so just to see what would happen. I think what we do is we just totally delete this. And oh, I guess I lost my scaling. It's all right. We can make it work. I'm going to move this to here. Yeah. As a rookie move to scale everything up and then just kind of lose that information, that was real dumb. So we'll do our best here to get this back to where it was at. Yeah, perhaps right there. Okay, that's fine. So 1.584. I'm going to put this in here just to remind myself of what that is. Scaling. All right, so even that bake is messy, but whatever. What we'll do, does this have the original evap? No, it doesn't. Okay, so we got to go back to base. And maybe LOD 1. I don't know, but that's pretty ugly. Oh, you know what it is? This should not cast shadows. So let's turn off shadows. Okay, so this is no longer casting shadows, and nor should it. We could also disable receive shadows, potentially. And the other option is a little bit of a nuclear option, but if you go shading unshaded, you can potentially control it a little bit. Remember, these are going to be way in the background. So maybe, you know what I'll do? I'll fix up that baking issue another day, because I don't want to spend forever on that right now. What I want to get to is getting these materials set up. We could do some tricky stuff too, like potentially doing per vertex shading. Oh wow, that looks ugly. Something is not quite right about the low poly one. I did skip the normal textures. That tends to work out better for billboards in the background. I'm just remembering that. Let's leave the shading on, because what that'll do is that'll make sure the nighttime different daylight affects it properly. But maybe what we can do is find a way to minimize. Yeah, Lambert wrap. That's pretty good. That minimizes the dark like corners. Last LOD. So assuming that this is like 100 meters on a tile, it might be 200. I'm not sure. So you would have the inner 4. I probably need to redraw this because I don't think this makes sense anymore. I don't know what is wrong with my eraser. Let's just paint white, I guess. So, it's a good question. I don't know yet. I'm not sure is the answer. I hyped your physics wrangling. Oh, okay. How did you achieve that? Do it again, please. Yeah, so inner 4 tiles will be 100 meters. So like say this is 200 meters. And we'll see, like what we're going to get into is like how many of these things can we populate? These are 8,000 tries. Can't do backface culling. We're going to have to do some tricky stuff with fade as well. So let's get that set up. That's what I want to do next. So let's do distance fade, pixel dither. See this? So what we can do is we can selectively fade out that region. It's going to be complicated. Let's put it that way. Because this one would be set up like this. Actually, you know what? Let's... I kind of want to do a little mock test just to pretend that these 3 are spaced out properly. Okay, so you get close to this one. That's, that's too far, obviously. So what we need to do... And these meshes, I think, are just too big. I think these meshes are way too big. Like if we put in let's put in a cube for reference. Oh yeah, these meshes are enormous. So let's fix that up. Can I fix this just by looking at the textures, I wonder? Because that's pretty bad. It's funny you can't see it here in Blender. It's the margin is killing me. That's what it is. Yeah, it's the margin on the UVs. I know of a way to fix it. This is kind of a hack. So what we can do is we can edge slide, like remove any unnecessary components, right? So let's say if I just look at this plane, so we got this plane here, I can edge slide this all the way into here, here, right? That's one. Fixed up. Let's do this one. This one's going to be tricky because we don't have a lot of top margin. But the thing about baking is that it'll always bake right to the edge of whatever you set. Only margin will help you there. So I'm trying to see what else is messed up here. So yeah, we can fix it this way. Oops. Yeah, this is the last one, I think. Doot. So maybe this will fix it. We'll see. Let's try that again. So we'll go export tree. The crazy thing you got to watch out for is when you're exporting GLTF stuff, it oftentimes will overwrite your materials. So anyways, that looks better. Is there some weirdness happening here? Yeah, what is... Oh, I think it's just the plane. It's crazy how Godot doesn't have the same UV interpolation as Blender. That's always surprising to me. But yeah, we're going to scale these down again one more time. And this time I'm actually going to retain a copy of one of these. Let's call this scale 1. Because it's going to, if I ever need to rebake, everything's going to be annoying to try to get back the scale stuff. Okay, let's go to here. Come on, Godot, you can do it. There we go. Okay. So this is, yeah, so we're back to this. Pixel dither, let's set to like 50 and 30. Let's do 45. So it should fade in. This is a 1 meter fade. That feels like way more than 1 meter. I feel like their math is messed up here. Oh, it's pixel based. Let's try object dither. Yeah, that's what we want. That's what we want. That's good. Object dither is more performant too, I think. Yeah. Object dither smoothly fades out, blah, 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 blah. Uncertain hardware, this can be faster. Okay. Yeah. So object dither is what we want because we want to very precisely control the fade. So right now we have say a 10 meter fade, and then you're in full mesh. So we'll do 80, and we'll do a fade of 20. No, that's too much. We'll do a fade of 10 meters. Okay. Maybe 70 and 60. Okay. So that would be lot 0. LOD1. Okay, LOD1 is tricky. This is where the custom shader will come in, because LOD1 is not going to be a simple fade. It's going to have 2 fade regions, right? The heck is Godot doing here? I guess it's pretty low res. Yeah, we'll fix that up. So this one, we're also going to do a different distance fade object, but this one will be, I don't know, let's go with 50 and 60. So is it still on? Okay, alpha scissors maintained, that's the important thing. Okay, and whatever threshold we gave on this one. So we gave this one, I'm testing this the wrong way, I'm realizing that now, by the way. We need to put these all at the same location, but for now this is fine. I will put them at the same location. So let's do that's a 10 meter, 60 to 70, meaning this is fully faded out at 60. So this should start to fade out at 60, I think. I think this is the right approach. So 60 is the quote midpoint. So let's overlap those and see what happens. Let's put them both at 0. So this is just LOD 1 and 2. How does this feel? That's reasonably smooth. I mean, you're going to be a little thing on the ground, and that's an enormous tree. I'm probably going to scale them down too. That's not bad at all. That is really solid. I just got here. Does transfer normal data work in GLTF? The transfer function in Blender where you... You're talking about custom normals? Yeah. So yes, normal data is baked in with GLTF vertex data. So if you got custom split normals on an object in Blender, that will come in with GLTF, yeah. I think the other thing you might be thinking about is baking normals from a high poly to a low poly. I just did this yesterday actually on a model. Yeah, the fade in is interesting. I'm not actually sure what is happening here. This guy fades out, but you know what it is? It's just LOD 0 is got more foliage, and that's going to be a hard one to get around. LOD 0 just has more foliage, and that is basically to be expected. Oh man, Object Dither is awesome. That is so cool. It's super optimized for Object Dither. So I don't know if you can tell, but it's optimizing on draw calls. We're only getting 1 extra draw call per mesh, which is really interesting because there should be more, right? With the shadows that we have in this scene. So shadows are, let's add a sun, let's add our environment. Shadows currently are PSSM4 splits, right? So we got the big boys here, right? So let's turn off LOD 2. Yeah, we're just getting 1 draw call. That's really interesting. I don't know what Godot is doing under the hood to make that optimization, because that typically is not a thing. One thing that's less than ideal right now, I'm noticing, is the distance fade is not what we'll have to do is in the process function of our LOD sorter, we're going to have to manually turn off the visibility of a rendering server. Oh, I'm still on 4.5. I have 4.6 downloaded. I'm just, yeah, let's do 4.6. Why not? I should stop slacking and put it on my taskbar. I do like the new theme. I'm on 4.6 now. Right, so yeah, so this is good. This is all good testing. I guess we lost the material that I was just toying with. Where did my distance fade go? Object dither. Let's go 70-60. You got to be careful when you do this import pipeline like this. You got to be super careful because triggering a re-import overwrites your materials. So I'm just messing around right now. So that's why it didn't get me too bad there. Okay, so here's our dithering. And then we go from low poly to high poly. So what we need to do is basically encode, right? You notice our primitive count is not changing, okay? Which is obviously no good. So what happens is once the first object fully fades out, boom, we have to manually encode, turn off that rendering server instance. Okay, then we call those X thousands of triangles. Okay, so that's how this is going to work. It's going to be slightly more complicated than what we looked at before. So we're going to have pixel dithering, object dithering, and pixel dithering by object distance is what it is, which works great with depth 3 pass and alpha scissor. But to actually get the advantage of the LODs, we need to call that entirely from the scene. So we'll do that in code as soon as that upper limit is hit. So as soon as we hit 60 on LOD 0, the max distance being 70. I don't know why min and max is when it's reversed. It's very confusing. But when we hit boom right there, we're 70 meters from the target, and then the object will be. We'll do this, right? We'll go boop, and then we call 8,000 triangles from the scene. All right, so then the last one is this one, and this one is super ugly, so we're going to fix up this. So first things first, let's change the shading mode because the depth prepass should have been alpha scissor. Not sure why that wasn't picked up. 0.513. And we cannot disable culling, especially on billboards. Definitely not. Let's do per pixel, but we're going to do Lambert wrap. And we're going to darken up this a little bit. Well, actually, maybe we can do something with metallic. Yeah. Okay, let's reduce the specular, first of all. Let's bring the specular down. Metallic can come up. Roughness. Yeah, we don't want any roughness whatsoever. That's good. I could put normals. I probably should have put normals on the billboards, but we'll check this out and see how well this works, right? We'll just try to get the colors correct first. So it can be a touch darker. I would like to brighten it, actually. It would be awesome if there was like a texture post-process that you could apply. But yeah, maybe we'll stick with Burley then. What I don't like about Burley is this hard shading you get here. So let's change this to Lambert wrap, and that softens that quite a bit. So for billboards, that's a really good setting, I think. And this thing is like 100 triangles. So, and we can optimize this further later. You'll see we got some solid geometry in here that we don't need. Like some of the branches and stuff are barely seen. So we really should cut those branches out of the model, but I'll do that later. For now, we just want to get the basic set up. Okay, so that's that. The question is, how far away should we be for LOD number 2? And the answer is, I don't know. We're also going to turn on object dithering. Okay, it's going to be same as that one, but we're going to do something like 120, 130, perhaps. And then the tricky part is we need to do a little bit of both. Not something you can currently do with standard shader. We're gonna have to write our own little logic there. So let's pretend this is hidden. This is hidden. Here's our this. So this guy comes in like that, and then this guy fades in. And we still get the outline, the correct outline of the tree, right? Because of the 4 quads that are in there. So I'm reasonably happy with that. It really does lack the depth of like shading that the other trees get, but I mean, it's better for the pipeline, for the renderer as well. This guy, we're also going to have shadows disabled. Sorry, the case, that's good. Okay, that's all good. All right, so the next thing I would do here, the next thing I'm going to do here is we need to convert these shaders down to shader materials. And ideally, I want them all using the same shader. Yeah. So we're going to make a shader, and we're just going to call it tree, tree shader. Okay. This material we're going to save as tree 3 lod 0 overwrite. I got a couple other tree variants I want to look at too. Want to see how variants might work. And then what we need to do is force the other 2 into the same pipeline. So this guy will be 5060. Let's load up. Let's clear that material. New shader material. We load our tree shader. Shader parameters. Oh, this is where it's kind of annoying. Yeah, this is where it's annoying. I wanna trick it. Interesting. The editor is not updating the draw calls on changing the shadow. That is strange. Default value to texture? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Right now, I am trying to get this to use the other shader, but I don't want to have to do all the work. So if we convert this to a shader material, here's what I want to trick it into. Can I load in the other shader and we just get all of these values? Let's try. I don't think it's gonna happen. It worked. Oh wow. Okay, that's cool. That's good. The only issue we're gonna have is the distance fade. Actually, no, that's perfect. So far, so good. Okay. We'll do the same thing for this guy. So one thing I forgot to do, we're gonna save off this material as tree 3 lod 1. And then lod 2, I want to convert to shader material. We're going to load up the other shader. Oh, that's sweet that works. Okay. Godot, good job. I don't know how. It must be looking at it's only killing the uniforms if the name changes, I guess. It's actually a really good way to do it. All right, lod 2. Okay, this is where it gets tricky. So lod 0 is fine. Lod 2 is fine as well, actually. Lod 2 only pops in there. Lod 1 is a middle lod. So we need to update the shader such that it fades both directions. And this is where it's going to hurt my head a little bit. So we're going to add distance fade min, distance fade max. And we'll call it uniform float distance fade min 2. hint range. I don't need to give it hint range. Why does it have a hint range? It's a distance. Oh, I guess for precision. Yeah, I suppose. For editor shenanigans. Okay, so here's our discard logic. Oh, this is going to hurt my brain, isn't it? So fade is the smooth step from the distance fade min to the distance fade max. Okay. We need to also smooth step this with what's fade distance? Yeah, we also need to smooth step that distance here against distance fade max, distance fade min 2. Maybe. This is a guess. This is a wild guess. And we'll set min 2 to 120. Okay, no. I kind of forgot how smooth step works. So smooth step is going to give us a value between 0 and 1 that when we're at the minimum distance, it's 0. And when we're at the max distance, it's 1. So I need another smooth step. So let's just do this. We'll comment out this for now. We'll do a smooth step that goes from distance fade max to distance fade min 2 by the fade distance. This should work. So what this should do is this should fade I want it to fade out is what I want it to do. There we go. Oh, you know what? We need a third parameter. We need a fourth parameter. We need max 2. Yeah. So there's two regions. So 120 and let's go 110 to 120. Yeah. We got to do something like multiply them or something. Probably multiply. Yeah. Maybe. Okay. So we'll flip those around to be 120 and 110 because this is the fade out behavior, right? You flip them because that's your fade out. And then the only thing I need to combine this with fade in. I want to multiply them. Hey, that works. Okay. A bunch of wild guessing until it happens. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So, the only question now is how does this impact these guys? Doesn't, looks like. 0, 0. I don't know if that's just, if I'm just getting lucky that it's not impacting the other two. Maybe I'm just getting lucky. Okay, so here's what it looks like all together. We have LOD 2, highest level of detail, 2K texture maps. Pretty detailed. Shadows, blocking the sun. Let's bring the sun down. Let's see what that looks like. Ooh, very nice. Okay, we could go higher. We could go higher detail on the bark texture, but that is a future me problem. All right, so then we fade out to LOD 2. Let's slow the speed down. Shadows are always tough on LOD, really tough. And I'm debating if LOD 1 should even have shadows. So we could do something like disable receive shadows. I don't think that's something you can just turn on and off. I think that's a render mode, sadly. See, disable, shadows disabled. Yeah. So this should definitely be depth draw prepass, I would think. Oh, depth. I'm pretty sure depth prepass alpha is more performant than the opaque pipeline for this, since we know it's an alpha scissor mesh. Yo, what's up? What are you doing? I am doing a lotting system for my trees here. And I got a gap in this one here. So this one needs to be, yeah, 110, 120. So we'll make them match. No, it needs to be fully in before the other one. So it needs to be 100, 110. My cat is climbing all over my keyboard. He really wants to be on these live streams, huh? Making my life tough. Okay, so that should work. So here's our lot 0. So picture these are way in the background. There should be hopefully things in the foreground occluding them. We still get a nice outline of the tree. I like that. I think that's good. As we approach, we get LOD 2. And you know what? We can perhaps have LOD 2 come in sooner and then LOD 1. So the final trick is as each LOD fades out, we use the rendering server to kill that one once it's fully gone, right? So there's no difference. See that? And then once we fade to the big one, it's gone. Then we kill LOD 1. And then now we're down to, yeah, it's not, we're seeing a lot of primitives here, but that's only like 300 primitives. And we can improve that, like I said. So that is improvable for sure. And if we just look at Blender, like basically, if you look at where the triangles are on this mesh, it's all in this bottom piece. So I just need to come back in later and clean up the triangles that are in that. So for instance, if we hide these, there's too many triangles in this. For a LOD 0 mesh, I'm thinking we can kill some of the branches, like some of the, like especially like one like this. See how this is like concentric with the plane there? That's totally unnecessary. Same as this one. You're never going to see this from 200 meters away. You are never going to see that. These you might. Maybe. I think the bottom ones you will. So I want to keep those for the form. But I'm really... Yeah, this one. Let's get rid of this one. And that's fine. This one in here can go. Yeah, that one can go. So only some of the like extraneous detail, right? And let's see, like even in ours, can we see? Yeah, you can see some of them from a distance. The shading is what's going to be annoying. And I'm debating on turning on unshaded for that guy. Oh yeah, because this guy is not going to have... Let's set up some stuff. Let's reduce the specular. Increase the metallic, maybe? Yeah, we're going to have to do something to fix up this guy. That might need to be on a different shader. Let's mess around with that for a sec. So, what I want to do, actually, something I need to learn how to do, but basically because these are still linked in the mesh set save path, I think what we need to do is disable this one, disable this one, so that when we re-import, That still has our proper material. That still has our proper material. But I'm going to workshop this third one. All right, so here's our third one. And I think I went through this a second ago. But right now it's not right, basically. And what I'll do is I'll disable dithering for a sec. So let's forget about that discard. All right, so it's a very easy way to disable dithering. Move this one over. And let's find a spot where the sun is kind of... Where's the sun facing? I want it to be like here. Yeah. The shading on the LOD 0 is just not right. So let's change this to I do like Lambert wrap better. You don't get those hard shading edges. That's good. We can... I think I want metallic. Maybe a bit of roughness or a bit of smoothness. No, because I think that's gonna... No, that defeats the purpose of what we're doing. So let's set the color a little bit darker. And you could go unshaded for the record, but having shading works out better. This is also not on Alpha Scissor. There we go. That's better. Getting better. So what I'll do is I will turn on distance fade. Object dither. And then we'll convert this to another shader material. I think this one needs to be a separate shader matte. I think it has to be. So let's save our shader. Shaders, we'll call this tree LOD 2. And save the material. All right, that's slightly better. We'll think about ways to improve this. But let's turn dithering back on and see our beautiful trees. Okay, yeah. Is it hard to get a job as a 3D modeler? I don't know. I've never had a job as a 3D modeler. I have had jobs working in games on optimization and tech art and programming, but nope, nobody is coming to me for 3D modeling skills. All right, I'm actually happy with this. I really like this. I think this is a good base. So what we do now, we've got this here. Another thing we need to do, and it's a bit frustrating, but there's two ways to kind of do it. So we have shader parameters that are now no, we don't have shader parameters. Oh, that's nice. I don't think we have to pass any uniforms to these. That's great. Okay, I take it back. So there's nothing we have to do in the process loop. The only thing we have to do is when we're in the correct LOD cell, we're either hiding or, and this is where I need to think about this a bit more. Let's say you have a grid and there's some stuff in here. My grid is not very uniform. Should have just used Excel. All right, so my idea is if the player character is, here. Let's say they're in this corner. I think each cell we divide up into 4 pieces. So if they happen to be in the top corner, and it'll snap. Like when you go across, that's the annoying thing, it'll snap. I think the LOD 2s in this case will be here, here. Oh, LOD 0, sorry. LOD 0, LOD 0, LOD 0, LOD 0. Right? I think that's how that'll work. If you went down in this corner, then it would be the 4 nearest neighbors. So it should be a nearest neighbor type thing. 2026 MS Paint doesn't have grid. I know, tough times out here. Does it? They added a bunch of stuff recently. No grid, no. Then I think we'll do a row of 1s. So wherever this square happens to fall, wherever these 4 adjacent tiles happen to fall, we'll get the 1s here. And this is going to be a grid system, so there's going to be a bunch of trees populated in each one of these cells, right? And then on the outer perimeter of all of that, we'll get 2s. I think that's how this should work. And the 2s, because they're so lightweight, you should be able to generate, you know, a whole bunch of them. And so we can use the rendering server and we can use multi-threading to do all this generation for us, right? That's the idea. And the 2s should be able to go way out there. So I might be overthinking it, actually. I think I'm overthinking it. I don't even know if we need a grid approach. This might be really overthinking it. Because, like, there's no shader uniforms. We plop down a tree wherever it happens. The only thing we have to manage for each tree is its visibility. And the thing that's tough is that you don't want to be, like, if you check your distance to every tree, every frame, that could be expensive. We could use distance squared. That's cheaper. But I'd say we go ahead here and start coding this and then kind of see what happens. So we have distances already set. I don't need to do visibility fade. We are just going to, we don't need any of this. We don't need any of this margin stuff. We're just going to generate a mesh. We will just generate our meshes. These UIDs might be wrong. No, they're okay. All right, so we push back the RIDs. We don't need to do this. We set a transform. And the other thing I'm going to grab from that other project is the exit tree. So we got enter tree ready. This is going to be a tool script, so it's going to be like that. Remove buildings. We'll just call it remove. Let's call it instances. Generate instances, remove instances. Let's give some good variable names here. Okay, so it'll free it upon exiting. It'll generate it. If editor hint, I think I just want to generate them when the scene is loaded. Did I have a tool script button here? Yeah. Yeah, we'll do it like this. Give ourselves a tool script button. Gen instances. Clear instances. Remove instances. Okay, so this will place all of these instances at each of these points. Okay, this is currently not going to work it's going to blow up the renderer. So let's just change it to 10 by 10. And it's going to populate them every 10 meters. I think we want that to be like every 20 meters. We'll see. Okay. So